Hey, what's going on, guys? It's Rampage once again, and this is my Asus GTX 770 C Edition benchmark video, basically. Now, I've only benchmarked Dirt 3, Sleeping Dogs, Tomb Raider, Metro Last Light, and Lost Planet 2, but those are the games that actually had their own sort of benchmarks, so that's what I'm going on right here. But basically, it'll give you a generalized idea of how good the Asus 770 C Edition graphics card actually is. Now, I'll start with Dirt 3, or actually, I'll start with the settings that I've chosen. Now, I've chosen to go with, some of them still have no AA enabled, but I'll tell you why in a second. But basically, for certain games, I've tested between having the game maxed out, no AA, and then maxed out with 4 times MSAA, which is, as you can see up the top there, which is Dirt 3. And with Sleeping Dogs, I couldn't actually turn AA off with that game, so I decided to try it with AA set to the highest. I don't know whether it was called high or very high, I can't really remember. But, yeah, so I don't know why it did that, but anyway, I had to set that back to normal for the second test. And for Tomb Raider, I left AA off, just because I wanted to see the actual max frames I could get within that game. Same occurs with Metro Last Light. I don't even use AA in that game because it actually has analytical AA, which is a 4A implemented anti-aliasing sort of feature that actually is forced on within the game engine, so there's no need for any other sort of AA enabled settings. You'll see some benchmarks that say 4 times MSAA or something like that, or SSAA. I don't like when they use way too much AA because it's not a realistic sort of environment settings that you would actually choose. So I've gone with no AA and no AA tessellation very high and advanced physics on. I didn't test the Metro Last Light no AA with advanced physics on, so I don't know if the frames will vary there. But yeah, these are sort of my realistic settings that I would physically use myself. So yeah, the only difference being with Tomb Raider and Lost Planet 2, I would use FXAA. Anyway, for Dirt 3, maxed out with 4 times MSAA, you'll get a highest frame rate average. This is going by 2 tests here. Roughly about 130 frames per second with VSync off, and an average of 127.1 frames per second. The difference between the highest and average was hard to calculate because the actual in-game benchmark didn't actually show a max setting, so I actually had to use fraps to visually look what the frames were. So it's not really accurate for the highest there, but anyway. The lowest is 107.7 frames per second, which is still above 60, which is very good for a racing game. And it is Dirt 3, so you can probably max out the game and then use 2 times MSAA to get better frames per second, or use FXAA to see which one will give you better performance there. But I just went with 4 times MSAA because that's what I used to use anyway. Anyway, Dirt 3 maxed out no AA, you get roughly a highest FPS count of 141.2 FPS, an average of 138.7, a lowest of 116.5. Sleeping Dogs, extreme graphics settings, motion blur off, and normal AA. Highest FPS I saw in that was 159.4, and with an average of 106.9. Lowest FPS was around 73.3, which is still above 60. So anyone with this card, you probably wouldn't have any issues with it, because me personally, I hate using motion blur and I hate using over the top AA. So Sleeping Dogs actually uses like SSAO or whatever within its AA or something weird like that. So I was trying to actually turn AA off anyway, but the game wouldn't let me. So anyway, Sleeping Dogs Extreme preset with AA set to the highest, highest FPS count with these settings was 81.8 FPS with an average of 53.6 FPS, and lowest I saw was 32.6 FPS. So if you want to play the game maxed out with Uber AA, then you still can, but it may not be the most playable of experiences. So that's why I had the extreme profile, or the extreme preset with motion blur off and normal AA set, so you guys can see the difference between how AA actually impacts your game. But with Dirt 3, it doesn't actually impact all that much. Now, for Tomb Raider 2013, which is the recent Tomb Raider game that came out, no AA Tress effects on. Highest FPS is 83.9, average of 58.9 FPS, and lowest was 42.7. Now, Tomb Raider 2013 with no AA, the highest FPS I got was 118 with an average of 91.2 and lowest of 70 FPS. So if you don't have AA on, you still get over or an average or lowest FPS of above 60 FPS. So the 60 FPS is what my sort of playable goal is when I'm trying to play a game. So that's my target, to actually be able to physically play the game properly, because anything lower than 60, I feel that it's kind of sluggish, but that's just me. So I can't actually go back to playing on console for that exact reason. Most games on console run at 30 FPS except COD. Metro Last Light, no AA, tessellation very high, and advanced physics on. This benchmark is kind of weird, so these results are not real in-game results, but anyway, because it may vary between your environment. So highest FPS was 104.3, and with an average of 46.7 and a lowest of 8.9. Now that 8.9 is when you like just start the benchmark, so that's what it does. It starts really low and then it jumps up for some reason. So I don't know. Anyway, Metro Last Light with no AA. I don't know why I have no AA there, but I don't have tessellation on or advanced physics, so they're both turned off. Highest FPS was 120.6 with an average of 63.9 and a lowest of 7.8. I don't know why there's a slight difference between the lowest frames there, but anyway. Lost Planet 2 DX11 with no AA. Highest FPS was 153.4 with an average of 141 FPS. Lowest was 130. So that game, people were saying that it's not playable for whatever reasons, but with those settings right there at DX11 maxed out, no AA, very, very playable. Lost Planet 2 DX9, no AA. Highest FPS 181.4, an average of 164 FPS, and the lowest of 152.7. So as you can see there, switching from DX11 to DX9 did improve the overall highest FPS or lowest and average FPS within Lost Planet 2. Now, if there's any other games that you want me to do a benchmark of, please leave them in the comment section below, because I'm interested in to see what sort of games bog this graphics card down to the point where you can't play a game if it's on max. So I'm not really planning on doing any sort of game mods performance videos yet, but I will be starting a mod series where and some other people play certain games like Fallout 3 and whatever, Skyrim. We get all these like graphic mods and all this sort of stuff and compare between different graphics cards and whatnot to see which will give you the better performance if you want to play the game completely maxed out, completely modded, and all that sort of stuff. You can stay tuned for that. In the meantime, please don't forget to rate, comment, and subscribe for more hopeful benchmarks in the future, because I plan on doing a few more games with this graphics card, and I'll also show you guys what my setup is so you can sort of compare or whatever. But the way the benchmark graph is set out. I'm sorry about that because I'm still learning how to use Excel, so it's not like highest to lowest like most benchmarkers do. But anyway, I hope you have enjoyed this video. Please don't forget to rate, comment, and subscribe. Peace out.